Another failed attempt on Ibrahim Traore's life, and they came out with evidence and proof and arrest and neutralize people and who was involved in this attempt on Ibrahim Traore's life, and also the destabilization of Burkina Faso by having terror attacks. There was a multiple phase attack, attacking the presidential palace, the airport, the drones, citizens, Ouagadougou, the capital, and so forth. There is proof of this, so I'm gonna play what the Minister of Security came out with proof, names, code names, countries involved like Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, who that's training these people, and Western countries that involves. And anyway, take a listen to this, and then we're gonna discuss it after. Take a listen. Boom. For several months now, we have served as intelligence in collaboration with those of the alliance states, are closely following a vast network of destabilization orchestrated from the outside and whose internal ramification threatens our national security, sovereignty. We wish to expose to you the facts which illustrate the extent of these maneuvers as well as the resolute action taken to confront them. It is brought to the attention of the Burkina public and the international community that individuals residing in the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire have been active in a company of submersive against our country. These actors of chaos, supported by certain Western power intelligence services, are made up of civilians of various profile as well as soldiers and former soldiers who have left the national territory to participate in propaganda and destabilization. Operations, thanks to monitoring permanent of the activities, we are able to task several destabilization attempts as pernicious as they are insistent in the face of these repeated failures. These individuals without fail opted for a plan. This plan consists, on one hand, of signing a contract with terrorist groups called the Centrals, on the other hand, to give them specific training in the Central East Zone for the taking of the objectives which have been recorded in their contract. They should firstly carry out violent actions against innocent civilians. Then, secondly, attacks on only institute of the Republic, but also several other sensitive points. The first attack of this operation was that of Basalaga on Saturday, August 24, 2024, which consists of massacring as many civilian population as possible to create disarray and chaos within these populations and therefore shaking the entire nation, thus facilitating the execution of the main action. The plan provided for the infiltration of several terrorist groups. The first group responsible for carrying out the main action from August 29, 2024, was composed of 150 terrorists from the center east. It should head towards the Sapo area, then go back to Ouagadougou with a view of taking the presidential palace in Kaluba. The second group should attack the military drone base to prevent any response from our forces. The third group came from Ivory Coast territory, had the object of carrying out attacks in the Magadara area to dispense our fighting forces. Other groups should target the airport to block any external reinforcement, in particularly the landing of any friendly aircraft. During these investigations, our intelligence service have alerted of the arrest of two suspicious individuals without identity papers at the checkpoint. The entrance to the city of Niamey on August 29, 2024. After rigorous hearings, they were revealed to be accompanied by a certain Akua who had already passed the 10 checkpoints. Later they were arrested the next day on August 30th, 2024 at the Rainbow Station in Niamey while he tried to escape from the identity checkpoints, carrying out in turn that the man named Akoshi is nothing other than Commander Aham Kinda, previously head of the Special Forces Corps. Normally supposed to be training in Morocco, he turned out to be the head of the operation of all these Sadly, planned attacks. The two suspicious individuals turned out to be, in reality, two terrorist leaders named Ozuma Abdullahi and Amadou Idris. All these arrests made it possible to unravel a large part of the plot and to better understand the maneuvers aimed at destabilizing our nation. They were later transferred to Burkina Faso. A special anti-terrorist operation was immediately launched in connection with these destabilization projects. The first investigations revealed that this plot was orchestrated by Burkinabe nationals residing abroad, including Mr. Azi Diallo, former mayor, deputy of Dori, currently working in Central Africa on behalf of an international organization. He is one of the alleged main masterminds of this conspiracy. Under the code name Aman, the Saint is in contact with a terrorist group of the Islamic State in the Great Sahara through one of its uncles installed in the town of Dori. Two, Sir Osama Roni Diallo, uncle of Mr. Azi Diallo, former fighter of UGS, former coordinator of negotiations with the terrorist group under the former president of Aniba. Three, Mr. Azi Dabu, ex-agent of the National Intelligence Agency on the run, known codename Leone. Four, Mr. Abdullah Barry, known under the codename The Traveler. He is the link between the Western powers, the terrorists, and the military party. Five, a certain Serge Moroni, Nigerian journalist of Ivorian origin, represented the traveler in Niger. He hosted the commander Aham Kinda the night of August 29, 2024, allow him to escape and should also facilitate the infiltration of all the commands in the east of Burkina Faso. Mr. Abdullah Barry asked him to keep by his side Mark Torah satellite phone intended for the operation. Six, Gabriel Hippie Basoli, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina Faso. Seven, Mr. Newton Aham Barry, former president of the SINE. Eight, Mr. Alpha Barry, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina Faso. Nine, Commander Francis Zouawa, alias Cesar. 10. Commander Herman Zango, who provides information on the positions of air vectors and movements of the army. 11. Commander Joan Compaore, former Director General of Sanabi, who was looking for 12. Colonel Zeller, working in United Nations system in Central Africa. 13. The Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sadogo, the army, alias Patriot, who leads the military aspect of this plot. 14. Lieutenant Colonel Romeo Waba, alias Rodriguez, who is the head of the operations. 15. Several other officers outside the country, on whom investigations continue. These destabilizers, in collaboration with accomplices inside the country, carried out massive disinformation actions and used occult practice to create confusion and division. Several Marabu were consulted by Mr. Adua Barry, alias the Traveler, who was helped by Chief Sergeant Tornado alias Farmer Tyler, who later was arrested. Intelligence Service. He gave information to the enemy, of which is in charge of recruiting elements for destabilization operation. In addition to making contact with the father, Maraba, who is well known in the Bakandi area, so that he can work to ensure that the terrorist infiltrators go very well following the arrest of Commander Amando Kinda, Elias Akasa, and the two terrorist leaders. It had been agreed initially not to provide the information to thus allow our services to discover the full extent of the network. The intercepted communication revealed the involvement of several economic operators in the conspiracy. The recordings of these communications will soon be released to the public in the coming days. Other civil society leaders participated in discussing via a WhatsApp group called IB. Clear also involved in this vast enterprise. Most of the planning meetings took place in Ghana, in the Ashami district, at the GD Large Hotel in Accra. Certain other meetings were held in Tamale in presence of Mr. Abdullah Bahari, alias the Traveler, and Lieutenant Colonel Romeo Waba, alias Rodriguez. Secondly, it was agreed that Commander Aham, alias Akosi, Chief Sergeant Canada, alias Taylor, and the two terrorist leaders accompanied one of our teams showed the storage site of their equipment and their various materials. This place, under the custody of the terrorists at solely of the commander, was located and far from the town of Tankada. Once they have attempted to escape, but exchanges of fire followed, during which they were neutralized in Switzerland by several other terrorists. The other destabilizers, far from abandoning their finest, they, they decided to refine a new plan during a meeting which has to be held normally in Nigeria on September 27, 2024. It will be for them to recruit new terrorists in Switzerland, to recruit 500 mercenaries from a European country. Large scale attacks in Ouagadougou aimed at spreading terror, always in their forecast. They decided to kill all those who oppose their actions by referring to the population in the event that they revolted in. This was to protect their families and loved ones from all reprisal from the population against them. They decided that each of them and their family and loved ones before the start of their operation. Thanks to the information collected, we were able to identify the participants planned for this upcoming coordinated meeting in Nigeria, among whom should be Command Number 1, Commander Aham Kida alias Akoshi. 2, Mr. Abdo Abari alias the Traveler. 3, the former Deputy DG of ANR delisting executives of the National Armed Forces, Mr. Wadara Sikoro, Lieutenant Colonel De Romeo alias Rodriguez, as well as the people from his brother's country, that is Nigeria, who are involved in this sinister enterprise. All should join forces with Mr. Gabriel Yippee Basoli and certain elements of the Western intelligence services, armed with this proven information and given the extreme seriousness of these acts, it was decided to maintain the special operation in order to neutralize any person who would attempt to sow chaos in our country. Firm instructions were given to the return to the Burkina Faso intelligence service all files initially brought to justice in order to resume hearings against the families and relatives of these terrorists. And they're advised to denounce them, dissuade them from continuing on this destructive path, and formally abandon any action submersiveness against the families and relatives of these terrorists, and they are advised to denounce them, to persuade them from continuing on this destructive path, and to formally abandon any submersive action. Recess is over. I repeat, recess is over. So guys, I can see there. So that was very interesting. So you see, there was a multi-phase process to attack Burkina Faso, which means attacking the presidential palace by taking out Ibrahim Traore, the drone base to take out the drones so that they can get attacked, the airport so to avoid them from getting in, the neighboring countries to aid them like Niger, Mali, and attacking multiple areas in like for instance the capital Ouagadougou and different other cities to take at least 100 people, like unalive at least 100 people minimum. And this was the plan, as I can see, was taken up by former ministers, journalists, intelligence officers, and present social servants. But luckily, Ibrahim Traore security team was embedded in these cells. That's the only thing I'm sorry they should not release to the public, stating that they have loyal Burkina Faso citizens, soldiers who are taking part in these high level insurgents. They shouldn't mention that. That's the only part I didn't like. But everything else, what they did, how they arrested them, they neutralized some, they caught them and used them against their own people, stuff like that. And this is what is surprising. You have Burkina Faso citizens using former Burkina Faso officers, ministers doing this, Cote d'Ivoire ministers, journalists, citizens doing this, and it was a multi-faceted Western countries involved. And the French just docked their biggest warship in Cote d'Ivoire, which means they are training there and they're using them to attack and destabilize Burkina Faso. Why? Because why is it they're trying their very best to take out Ibrahim Traore? Because he's making every other African country look bad than a Western country, because what he has accomplished in 2 years dwarf what every other president have done in the past 60 years. So they cannot have this stand. But the fact that Ibrahim Traore is on his P's and Q's says a lot. This man is not no joke. He's a military man. He's very strategic. He's using his infiltrating these gangs and these terror groups and using his men to get information back to foil all these plots. Imagine over 14 names I heard called from, as I said earlier, ministers, journalists, former intelligence officers, present day soldiers, a whole host of people. He got their code name, their family, where they live, where they're from, who they're for, everything. That's what a good president does. And honestly, the fact that they just want to take out a certain amount of people just to cause chaos shows you the length these people are trying to and willing to go to take out Ibrahim Traore. And this is why we have to put these messages, we have to make these things be known so that we can, like vloggers, especially people who love Africa, we have to get these things out there in the world to shine a light on what they're trying to do to the Sahel countries. We have to do this, and this is like our job. This is what is if you say you have a love for the black race of Africa, you have to do things like this to point the finger at those people who are trying to destabilize Burkina Faso to prove a point. Especially I don't want to say, let's just say Western countries. Let's just say that. Because it includes multiple countries. It's not just one or two countries involved in this. It's multiple countries, mercenaries as well. So anyway. So, what do you think about this? This plot that was filed by Ibrahim Traore and his team, and the Minister of Security or the Security Minister comes out and tells the Burkina Faso citizens what, who, when, why, and how. And that is what is missing. You don't have presidents and their teams telling the people the truth and giving them facts. Not the same thing, but preparing facts, proof, names, where they live, where they're from, who birthed them, who is their brother, who their sister. And, this is what I love about this. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section about the next attempt on Ibrahim life. And what do you think going forward, if we should release this kind of information to the public? Don't know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Boom.